go through that awkward conversation just to feel good about some clothing that I bought. Then again, I don't really care what I wear. I wear whatever is clean, and that's like, like, oh,
Are
this
you
is
wearing
clean.
a thong right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well,
We are at 888-531-7171, and I do want to offer, if you're 15 or 16, and my view is that if you're old enough to save up some money, be dropped off at the mall with some girlfriends, purchase a thong, and decide to wear it, it's really nobody's business, because there are certain body decisions that become more and more your own the older you get, Montana.
Yeah, but there's that one thing where it's like, if you just put in the laundry and your mom does your laundry,
yeah.
so do your own laundry. And that's
true.
also a sign of maturity, so
Yeah.
to wear thongs if you can do your laundry and be
Buy
competent.
Your own thong, do your own laundry. There's like a lot of thong-related responsibility. Yeah. I think I have to put on my headphones because there may be a caller. Hello, welcome to our place. How are you?
good. First, I want to say, man, it's great to be back.
Yes. Who's this?
It's Fang.
Hey, Fang, how are you?
I'm good.
Pretty good. Did you have a question for us tonight?
No, are y'all still on that one question?
Oh, the thong question?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a thong? You have thong opinions?
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, it's also something with the pants. It depends on the pants, because I have different types of pants,
Mm-hmm.
I have Wranglers, which are like a looser fit.
Right.
Boxers. But then I have these Levi's that are really tight.
Okay.
They're my size and everything, but the waist is just tighter for some reason. So I wear compression shorts.
Compression shorts. I'm learning so much. And what do they compress?
Well, they're just like, they're not so like loose as
Right.
boxers. So they're easier to get the pants on.
Okay. So the pants slip on over them, and then you check in the mirror to make sure that you can't see like the underwear line from the pants.
No, I don't think guys worry about that.
Guys don't worry about that stuff because that is something that girls do worry about. So when it comes to thongs, they'll say one of the reasons they say they like it is because you won't see any panty line like around the hip area.
Yeah, it's like when you go to yoga and you're
Right.
wearing like yoga pants, you don't want to see like the big lines. Like that's just it's not a good look.
What if I
Not a good
made
look.
that look fashionable? Like
Yeah.
if I did a
You
video
could.
and I brought that look, back in.
Then it would change the economy of the thong
I'd
market.
like have mom jeans with panty line, and I'd be rocking it.
No. Girls would be asking their moms if they could be like, Mom, can I wear granny panties?
Yeah, and like, I'm not like before I like actually matured. I used to be one of those guys that lusted after girls. You know how teens are.
I know how teens
I'll
are.
admit it.
Yeah.
And guys, that's what they look for. They look for the panty line.
They like the panty line. Guys like the panty line.
Like you look.
We do?
Just look for it. I don't know what it is.
So like because
sorry,
it's like
what?
allowing your imagination to imagine the underwear because now you can see at least some sort of fragment of it or
So
But what if the girl
You
doesn't want to be seen like that? Then
yeah, she could use she could say no. Well, guys look more for the panty line, and so if I got the thong, then it went to the panty line.
it's an excellent point. And thank you. And I'm very proud of you for getting up the courage to ask your mother for the compression shorts.
Oh, I got those for athletics.
There you go. You got those for athletics.
Helping athletics.
All right, Frank. Thank you so much for calling. It was good to speak with you again. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go
Don't
ahead.
hang up.
What?
Why do you like the panty line? Just out of curiosity.
Honestly, I don't anymore. I've grown out of that. I'm more like, I try to get to know the girl instead of trying to figure out what's in her pants. And
That is the correct answer.
That's a good idea.
Good man. Good man, Fang. We love you. Thank you so much for calling. We are at 888-531-7171. And we're here with our guest, James Carrington. If you cut to the empty chair when I say that, Jake, it's going to be really hilarious
I
later.
would, but every time you mention
That's awesome. It's got the headphones on the chair. All right. So James is with us. All right. So, all right. This is from the Ask Jordan column. Oh, no, maybe I'll save this because Jordan may show up later. She's going to try and show up after work. So let me save the Ask Jordan question. Do you guys want to do Thread Theater? Yeah. Who's all about it?
Sure.
All right, so Thread Theater is, I'm going to take off my headphones. Give us a call at 888-531-7171. Thank you, Fang, for calling. That was very illuminating. And Thread Theater is called Labels, and we're just going to go around the room. Montana, you'll play the part of Gummy Bear. Curtain up on labels. Gummy Bear.
Should people be labeled? Meaning that based on their academic skills, their social status, their personality, their fashion sense, etc., they are categorized by their peers into groups, like nerds, goths, populars, etc. In my opinion, I strongly feel that people shouldn't be labeled unless they feel happy with their label. That's all caps. Labeling people can make them feel disliked, sad, and not confident in themselves. It can also cause them to believe that they are in a certain group, so they will start acting like their label describes. I myself feel this way sometimes. What do you think?
Goth Ghost. I completely agree with you. I like my label as goth, but it's not right to label others unless they like to be labeled that. Like being called a nerd may offend people.
Okay, S.R. Buckley. As long as people don't do it in a mean or hurtful way. I consider myself a nerd, but I hate it when people use it as an insult. I think, to an extent, labeling is good. It helps you understand who you are, and it helps you find the right people for you to hang out with. But I wish people didn't act like a certain label is better or that the label defines you. They don't. You define the label.
A giant mushroom. No labels. It's a cruel way to say that you can only be friends with people with the same label.
Garrus.
Oh, I didn't know I was Garrus.
Well, we're going around.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't like labels. Like, I hang out with what everybody labels as the athletic kids, even though I'm not athletic at all. There's some people who hang out with people who use marijuana. They meant marijuana. I can spell. And don't use, but of course they get labeled as potheads.
Personally, I detest labels.
Watermelon girl.
Watermelon girl. Sorry.
She's always really articulate, so you got to give her credit.
Personally, I detest labels for sexuality, clothing, friends, anything. I believe it makes everything more complicated. I believe everybody should have their own identity that does not include bisexual emo or fantastic nerd. I think it's demoting of diversity. I don't condemn people that label themselves. For some people, it comforts them. However, I don't like it when people feel obligated to label themselves, or if they strive to fit under a certain label. That's when you lose your unique personality.
Annie Paris Dance, who just friended me on Facebook, P.S.
It's a clear answer. No.
And she made that no was like actually several lines long, but
yes.
for the sake of space, I just gave you the essence of it.
It has an accent mark too.
Yep.
People have labeled me before. I knew they were doing this. There was more to me than just the short girl. Short leads to little kid, to annoying, to too hyper, to immature, or to too immature. I think labels are used mostly in bullying and drama. I just say take the labels off.
I have always been
Abdul.
Abdul, sorry. I have always been labeled my whole life as a nerd/geek because I'm like school and homework. I have also been called short, even though I'm 13 and in 8th grade, and I'm 52.5. I think labels are okay as long as they are not negative ones because I've always been labeled.
Okay, discuss. What do you guys think of labels? I think that teenagers are in that frame of mind where they're trying to figure out who they are, and the best way for them to do that is to measure themselves against other people, and so they feel that the labeling is essential. It's like how they categorize their self-view, Montana?
I think that labels are just such a ridiculous, outdated convention that, like, I guess I do use them too, but it's more of a joking thing, like, oh my god, I'm such a nerd, guys, or something stupid like that. But, I mean, I guess it's alright if it makes you feel more comfortable with yourself and where you are, but, like, it's really better to try to be yourself without them because you are who you are. Like, you can't just be completely one thing or completely another. Otherwise, it confines you. Nico, what do you think?
Thank you, Montana. I don't really like labels because they just feel like really ineffective nowadays. Like, me personally, again, personal stuff here. I played football a lot. I played it for like 7 years, and so you'd think I'd be hanging out with the athletic kids, but I just got here from my Dungeons and Dragons group.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. And so you think of calling me nerd, but I like both things. And even though I'm not doing football anymore, I still talk with some of the football guys sometimes. And so it's really ineffective to label people, and I don't think it's a good way of really putting people in groups like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. What do you think, Maddie?
I think that, everyone in the chat, like, really hit it right on the head. Like, it's so, like, how they kind of said that, for some people, it helps them feel more comfortable, it helps them identify, it helps them, find people who they can identify with and be friends with. But it can also be a negative thing, like they said. Like, it can be used in, bullying or trying to make someone feel bad if there's a negative connotation on the label. But I don't think it's a bad thing for somebody to be like, you know what, like, I'm an artsy person. Like, that's how I'm going to label myself, at least for now. Like, it's not like a definite thing. I'm an artist, I'll be an artist forever. Like, that's it.
Or at least just one part of your personality.
Exactly.
Because no label would ever fully define a person. Well, let's see what the caller thinks. Hello.
Take a step in my shoes.
Hello, Take a Step. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very excellent. I'm so happy that you called. Did you have an opinion about labeling people?
Yes, I did. I didn't really hear what y'all just said because I was on the phone, but I think because at my school, it's a really preppy school, and there are so many labels there. Like, I heard just the other day that there's a group called the Vera Bradleys / they also call them the Plastics. And I was just like, really? They were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, wow. And I have Vera Bradley stuff, and I was just kind of like, Vera Bradley isn't just for popular girls. And also, you can, people call other people, misfits. And I think it's just really, why are people placing labels on society?
I don't know, but do you think that teenagers especially have the urge to do this so that because it's a way of helping to define who they are by measuring themselves against other people?
I think that's also a reason that people do it too. I think teenagers are more likely to do it because, they're teenagers and they're trying to figure out who they are. And most adults know who they are, but, there are some adults who don't.
Like, I don't have a problem labeling myself. Like, I would call myself a nerd, a dork, or a tomboy or whatever, but I would be... I'd be so many different things mixed in with that. I'd be a photographer, a writer, and a creative, or lots of different things rolled into one. And as you go through life, you may think what Maddie said, like being called artsy is fine, but you definitely wouldn't want to be called plastic. Some of the labels sound like just definitions, and some of them sound offensive, like they're designed to be offensive. What do you think?
I think that some are meant to be offensive and some are just, people defining themselves. And then you also have, people just doing it for fun. And then people also place labels without knowing that it hurts other people.
Like in my high school, there was a group of girls that were, I guess they were rich, but I don't think I even knew enough about status to know that was a thing. But there were girls that had monogram sweaters. So they had sweaters where they would have their initials sewn into the sweater, and my sister called those girls the monograms, and I don't think those girls ever knew that my sister had a name for them. And so sometimes stuff like that is cute and funny if you just kind of keep it private and it's not so offensive. But we're going to go to the panel. Hang in there with us, caller, and let's see what Maddie has to say.
I have to pose a question to the panel that is related.
Yes.
Do you say I were to say, oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd, does it make it acceptable for other people to call me a nerd, even if first if they don't use it with any kind of connotation, and if they use it with negative connotation, if they also just call me a nerd on neutral, with no attitude in their voice, or if they say it with oh my gosh, you are such a nerd, wow, does it make it acceptable, Keo?
Yeah, this adds into what I was going to say, basically, which is I think it all depends on how you're using your words. That's how I think, of anything. With the words that you use, it depends on how you use them and the feelings behind them. If you're trying to hurt someone, you can say it in the most polite sounding way, but it can still be hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on your intentions and what you're trying to. If you're trying to hurt someone, then that's not good. So if you're being nice, saying, "Oh yeah, he's such a nerd," or like whatever, and like you know that person, or just saying, "Oh yeah, he's a nerd. He's my friend. He's a nerd."
Well,
like just to describe him.
Just to describe him, nerds have become cool, and my cousin defines people like saying, "Oh, she's such a hippie," meaning they're like vegetarian, or they like to be really green, and so she calls all her friends hippies, and she means it with complete and total love because she loves her friends, but she's happy to describe them that way because that's the best definition, and I don't think they would be even remotely offended, by that. Montana?
Yeah, I understand that, but like when I was in middle school, I guess this isn't really like a group labeling thing, it's a personal label more so.
Mm-hmm.
My friends gave me this nickname, which I shall not repeat on the air, but it's obscene. What?
Awesome.
It was obscene, and at first I was kind of playing along with it because it was kind of a joke. But, like, later they would just always call me that and call me nothing else, and it got really, really irritating. And it's like, it's not even funny anymore, guys. It's just offensive.
Right.
And that's when that's when it gets, like, too much. And that's when you get to tell them, stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Keo?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that you got to be careful with that kind of thing because it's fun because at first somebody says it and it's funny and it's like, oh, yeah. But with a possibly hurtful joke, if you overuse it, then it becomes, like, bad. Like, if it's just a joke, then if you keep using it, it's not funny, but it's not hurting anybody. But when it's something that is potentially mean, then it becomes a problem.
And people should always just say, just stop calling me that, because if other people think that they're using it in a friendly, fun way, and you've no longer, let's see what Nico has to say.
Well, I think you guys are completely right on the fact that it can be hurtful to people and, all that. I do want to say, though, that if you do start calling yourself by a name, like nerd or something, then you should really be sure you can own that name, because then what comes with it is people are like, hey, that's a shorter version, that's silly, I want to do that too. So you gotta kind of expect some blowback there, but at the same time, if it really does offend you and it was a one-off thing, it's gonna get annoying after a while, and you want to tell them, hey, just cool it. All right, guys?
That's enough on that. All right, thank you so much for calling. Caller, did you want to make one more point before we let you go?
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I misheard you.
Oh, did you? Was there anything else you wanted to say about labeling before we let you go?
No, that was all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you so much, and
You're welcome.
We really do appreciate you taking part in the show. We are at 888-531-7171. We are Our Place Out Loud. I am Louise Palanker here with Montana, Maddie, Kimute, Nico, and Jake is in the booth. What's going on in the chat, Jake? Anything? Is James in there?
Last time I opened the chat, the whole show crashed. So
I'm
I'm without chat right now.
So we're without chat right now. Well, Julia writes, I'm a freshman in high school, and my brother is a 6th grader in middle school. School starts at 8:30 a.m., and my mom wants us to sleep at 9 p.m. How can I convince her to let us go to sleep later, because that is just too many hours of sleep? Bedtime is something I don't know that we've ever discussed, so I thought we would bring it up. It seems to me that kids that are 2 years apart should have different bedtimes. What do you guys think, Maddie?
Well, I have a couple things to say. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the movie Frozen. It's the animated movie that's in theaters now.
I heard it's wonderful.
Okay. Has anybody seen it? No? Okay, well, there's this one part where, like, the sister is probably about 2 years younger, and she comes into the older sister's room and goes, the sky is awake, so I'm awake, so we have to play. And the older sister's like, go to sleep. So that just kind of reminded me of this. And, I mean, this used to happen to me, like, when I was younger. Like, I always wanted to go to bed at the same time as my older brother, who is almost 2 years older than me. So, and he would have, more homework than I did, obviously, when he was in 5th grade and I was in 3rd grade, and, whatever, moving, on up the ladder of grades. And so, eventually it kind of, came to my parents' attention that we needed to like actually talk about, you know, bedtimes. And, you know, it just kind of ended up being in the earlier years we did have separate bedtimes, but like now obviously we're both in high school and it just kind of is, you know, get your homework done, get enough sleep type thing.
It's left up to you.
Yeah, pretty
Oh, wow,
much. Because I
cool.
mean, like, if I can, well, I mean, also I'm homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even before it was like, if you can have enough sleep and get all your work done, then it's up to you to be responsible. But if you start, you know, being exhausted in the mornings, or you don't have your homework done because you're going to bed at 7 and waking up at, you know, if you're getting like 12 hours of sleep a night and you're not doing your work, that's obviously another problem. But Nico, how did your parents handle the bedtime situation?
Well, I kind of set this up after ringing Berenstein Bears. I just add half an hour every birthday. So, you know, it kind of worked out for me. I got to go to bed at like 11 in 8th grade, so, you know. But I want to ask you guys a question really quick. How many of you guys had to go to school like before or after 8? Because I keep hearing about that, but it's never happened to me. I mean, Maddie, obviously Maddie, because she can do whatever the hell she wants with her school, but, like, I don't know, Keon?
Well, during high school, I had AM when I had to go to sleep at or I had to go to school at like 7:12. That's when I had to be there.
Whoa.
No.
Yeah.
It's like when I wake up.
Yeah.
What school was that?
Santa Monica High School.
Nasty.
But it was, I mean, it was an extra class that I was taking. It wasn't like
Wait.
mandatory.
7:12.
Yeah.
Whoa. Was that orchestra?
No, I was taking it so I could take more electives. So
You probably went to school in the dark some mornings, right?
yeah, the moon would be out. And
Oh my
I'd be
God.
like,
I
what
was-
is the moon doing out?
I was thinking about applying there, but now I'm seriously
Why do
considering
you-
changing my mind.
No, you
I
don't
mean,
want
you
to
don't
be.
you don't have to take AM classes. Normally, school starts like 8:15 or 8
Okay.
something. But I took 7 classes my senior year, so it was like,
You're such an
That's a
achiever.
lot.
well, I only had to take 2 classes, and then the rest were a bunch of electives. And I was like, I took acting and film and music and Japanese and a bunch of things. So
Well, now I'm very intimidated. I mean, I knew you were the wise one, but now I'm really feeling a lot of pressure to measure up to Kyo's standards of commitment and excellence.
that's okay. I'm very accepting.
Oh, thank you. Montana, bedtimes.
First of all, do you speak any Japanese?
A little bit.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Second of all, yeah, actual question, bedtimes. So when I was in freshman year, like routinely, I would go to bed at like 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
would I.
And half of that was just me like not wanting to go to bed, but like a good deal of the time that was just the amount of homework I had
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't used to going from like middle school to high school. Actually, in middle school I had more homework, but that's not the point. I just took a long time, I guess. And even now, like, I've got it under control, but even yesterday I was, like, up till 2 because my computer broke when I was doing my homework, and then there was just a whole bunch of mess. So that's a definitely good argument you could make to your mom, because that's what I've told my parents. They're like, you need to go to bed earlier. I'm like, look at all the homework I have.
Well, I check the chat headquarters before I go to sleep at night, and there's always kids in there going, can't sleep, who wants to talk? So I think that kids just have a hard time winding down. It's not that
Yeah.
they're not exhausted,
Definitely.
they just can't really shut it down. And when electronics is available to them, like when I was a small child, what came on TV after midnight was, it went a little something like this. And then the snowy white screen. So that was like God's way of saying, go to sleep, little Weezy.
That was God.
Go to sleep. But now everything's like New York City, you know?
Yeah.
It never sleeps. And so kids are always stimulated. So it's hard. And then when you finally fall asleep, suddenly the alarm clock's ringing and you haven't had enough sleep. And I know Jake has a little bit of the night owl. He and I both have that in common. So it's just hard. There's stuff that you want to do at night. You don't want to go to sleep. We're going to grab the caller and then get to your thought, Maddie. Hello.
Hello?
Thank you for calling Our Place Out Loud.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's S.R. Buckley.
Yes, it is.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Sir Buckley?
Yes. Yeah.
So I do know your actual name because we are friends on Facebook, are we not?
Yeah.
And I'm your favorite Facebook friend, am I not?
Yes, you are.
In fact, I did see some plotting and scheming between you and somebody else. When I put a post, and Maddie's going to go off and do some teen helpline work, and I put a post that we need a teenage girl, and you and who else was it? Started.
It was Marion.
Who's that?
Marion.
Oh, Marion, yes, from Canada. You and Marion. I have to memorize two names. I have to memorize people's real names and their. If they friend me on Facebook, I now know their real name and their screen name. And so Animalista, they were just they had this long chat underneath my comment, and Nico was like, "I'll be a teenage girl." It's like, go away, Nico. You're not funny. He is funny, but yeah. So how are bedtimes handled in your household?
They aren't.
Oh, they aren't. You're on your own.
No, I just don't do what I do and stay up too late.
Do you get enough sleep?
Define enough sleep.
Somehow. Define enough sleep. Have you fallen asleep in school?
No.
Okay. We're ahead of the game then. Just staying one step ahead of the curve. Yes. Do you partake in any caffeinated beverages during the day?
I drink soda sometimes.
Mountain Dew?
No.
Doing the dew? That's Jake's poison. He slams down some dews. Keep himself upright.
No one calls them dues.
Okay, just trying to be hip with the kids. Leave me alone. Maddie, talk to SR.
Well, actually, I just wanted to add a comment about what you said about when you were a kid, you used to just kind of like stay up.
Yeah.
My dad actually is also, quite the night owl, and so he would be working, downstairs, and we had this huge like area rug, and we had like 6 months before we had like an actual large sofa in there, so we just had this huge area rug, and I used to do it's called a panda roll. Have you guys ever heard of panda roll? It's like where you kind of like roll around like in little circles like this.
I've seen you do that.
Around of course. Yeah. But so when I was a baby, I used to just kind of like do that in the carpet until like
odd.
2 a.m.
You were very odd.
I was a really odd child. I used to scream in the car. But anyway, this is beside the point anyway.
Right.
So basically, I'm going to be like your horrible, hypocritical, parent right now and say the way to wind down before you go to bed, there has been some research done, and they say that if you don't be like on an electronic device or look at a screen for an hour before you go to bed, it's a lot easier to go to sleep. And also stuff like reading, talking to your family, stuff like that's not like overstimulating is also really helpful in going to bed. So if you have like the I can't sleep syndrome, then pick up a book instead of your computer. And I know I'm such a hypocrite, I go right for the Netflix, like that's just me, but be the better person and go for the book. I'm just saying. Keo, sorry, moving on.
Yeah, that makes sense because my computer is constantly on and I don't sleep. During my high school, I would stay up till like 3, like Montana, and then go to school, and then go home and go straight to sleep, and then wake up and stay up late.
What happens is that when your face is exposed to a backlit device, your face thinks it's the sun.
Yeah.
Because your face is not as smart as the rest of you.
You mean your eyes, not your face?
Maybe, Jake. Everyone's smart today.
Jake, my face is always smart. Always.
And so actually watching TV across the room would be better for you than like having something right next to you.
That's when I usually get to sleep, when I
Yeah,
go.
and then you'll fall asleep watching TV.
I will say for bedtimes, the first time I remember having a bedtime was sometime in elementary school, and I was bothering my mom, and she was like, "It's your bedtime." I was like, "Bedtime? What are you talking about? I don't have a bedtime." And she's like, "Yeah, you do. It's 9 o'clock." And I was like, "What? What do you? We've never talked about this." But I think that you should go to sleep and show that you're having good sleep schedules, and then talk to your parent and say, I can manage my own time. You don't need to worry about when I'm sleeping. I'll do it myself. If you show that you're responsible,
yes, show that you're responsible, and you'll get more privileges.
Yeah, I think Jake had something.
We're going to let SR Buckley go because we've got a caller who wants to call in from Australia. Thank you so much, SR, for calling in. Jake?
Okay, you can't see me, but I'm back here somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I
okay,
see your arm.
This is about the whole technology thing. There's a program that you can download for whatever device you're on. Sometimes it's called Flux, sometimes Lux, sometimes like red light, something lame like that. It just makes the light not so blue, because that's like a complaint, is that supposedly it's unnatural light, and that makes your eyes go all crazy. But if you have it be warmer, they call it, where it's got like, it's more red looking or brown even, it makes your eyes think that it's like a candle or something like that, and it actually helps you fall asleep a lot easier after looking at it.
Oh, that's a good tip. I've been reading on my iPad on the Kindle app in sepia. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
That's just, it's the best.
The best reason to do that is just that throughout the day you get to use the word sepia.
Is it sepia or sepia?
Ooh, oh my gosh, I've been saying it wrong.
I don't know. I always said it sepia, but I could be saying it wrong. Like,
Yeah, I think it's sepia, actually.
it's like when you like look at that long list of fonts on Word and you try to like actually pronounce every one, and you just end up making such a fool
They're
of yourself.
unpronounceable, but they would all make really good baby names.
Yes. Like,
I mean, why can't we just have like a room full of babies and name them things like Helvetica?
and Times New Roman.
Thank you for the boys.
And occasionally dingbats. Have you seen that font?
Wingnut, come here, Wingnut. Mia wants to talk about Blue Sky's question. Hello, Mia. Oh, wait, Matt is...
We have to read Blue Sky's question.
Oh, we have to read Blue Sky's question. Oh, okay. All right, so we're moving on from bedtimes to... Okay. Someone help me remember which questions I've skipped over, because I'm so distracted by James and how dreamy he is.
I think you only skipped over the...
Julia.
The Ask Jordan and the Beautiful XOXO.
Howard's got it. Howard's on top of it. I wrote a song for Howard earlier today. I'll sing it later. Blue Sky writes, I actually hate my mom. Smiley face. She just moans all the time. Stop laughing, Montana. Because Montana was doing an impression of this mother moaning all day, and it would be annoying. She treats me like I'm stupid, and it's pushing me away and driving me towards hating her and dropping all contact with her. I hardly see her as she's at work. I'm at college, and when we get home, she's either moaning at me, stop laughing, on her phone, or out. Tonight I did a thing I thought I would never do. We had an argue, and then I picked up the phone to call my phone. She moaned at me, thinking that I was calling someone else, so she snatched the phone away from me, and my reaction was pushing her shoulder, like, WTF. I've never done that in my life. I was so speechless. I guess this means she's finally driving me to the point where I can't take it anymore. Who wants to talk? Oh, so the caller is going to... Mia's going to talk first about this. Do you relate to this letter?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what sort of because I had sort of problems like that with my mom for about 4 years.
4 years, wow.
And it was really bad.
So how did you handle it?
It still sort of happens, but not as bad. But I actually ended up talking to my grandma about it, and then she was like talking to my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, yes, that is sort of, I guess that thing that I'm doing isn't really appropriate," and all that kind of stuff.
So what was your mother's behavior that was just pushing your buttons and making you feel like I do not connect to this person at all? In fact, I wish she would just be out of my range of view because I'm so irritated with her.
Well, it was just sort of, it would always look like whatever would happen, it would always be, because I'm an only child, so everything would always sort of get blamed on me, and even if she knew it was her fault, it would still always get blamed on me. And then I tried complaining about it, and then I got sent to a counselor to get a mental evaluation and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, no, that's too far, and they have problems, but this is not my fault.
Right. So you just felt like she wasn't able to take any sort of responsibility for any of her own behaviors. It was always blame the kid.
Yeah.
And so in Australia, did they have counselors at all of the schools?
They do, and I did get sent to her for like a short amount of time, but it's not really, how do you put it, it's not sort of private. Like everything that happens, the counselor will then call the people afterwards and sort of give them a rundown on what was said, so then I would just get home and then get in trouble for whatever I told the counselor, and my mom would just be like, oh, that's not true, why would you do that, I'm going to get in trouble, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well...
So your mother wasn't really ever able to say, like, what could I do better? Because in life we want to be that person who says,
Yeah.
what did I do and what could I do better? How could I improve? And did that make you have less respect for your mother when you discovered that she wasn't that type of person or she didn't have that capability?
Yeah, that's exactly what I sort of said, because she was always about, oh, you have to have respect for your mother, da-da-da-da. But the thing is, sort of, obviously the older people deserve a sort of larger amount of respect, but there also still has to be that little bit there, like the child, in order for it to, work. You get what I mean?
I know. I get exactly what you mean. And there, you come to the age around 12 or 14 where you realize the sun doesn't set around your mother, and that she's this person, and she may be flawed, and she may even be more challenging than many people's parents. But, so you try to separate yourself, and this is where I begin and she ends, and I'm not going to be this way. But it's still hard because you love her, and, you're genetically predisposed to love her, but it's difficult sometimes to live in the same household with this person. Go ahead, Maddie. She wants to say something.
Yeah.
Just to check, do you think that when she says moans, she means like yells?
Yes, probably.
Because in the bottom, she was like...
Or nags.
She moaned at me thinking I was calling someone else, so that like she yelled.
Yeah, I think she means yelling or moaning and groaning or that kind of...
Or nagging or something.
Nagging,
Because moaning is a certain type of noise that I doubt mothers make often.
Well,
No,
I
I
do
think
recognize when I get letters from around the world that different kids from different countries have different ways of expressing different things. Like this letter says we had an argue. An argue isn't a noun in the U.S., but maybe where this letter comes from, an argue isn't. Jake's falling over. Sometimes I'm not even trying to be funny. And Jake is on his side.
I am an
Is an argue a noun in Australia, Mia? Is it? Is it?
Oh, she said no.
No,
No.
maybe it is in England or in Ireland or.
Maybe.
We could ask James.
Oh, we could ask James. James Carrington is. Let's go to James.
James.
Is having an argue. Are you having an argue? Is that why you're not present on the show? You're busy having an argue. Doesn't it? You almost want to say that in a British accent, don't you?
Don't British people call it a row?
Oh, I'm
Like-
having a row and an argue. Yes.
'Cause I think that's a noun in England. A row.
But you know what, Mia? I want to thank you so much for calling and for being so candid with us. It's really helpful for kids to hear that other kids have issues with their parents because it makes people feel less alone. And we thank you so much for calling and sharing. Yes.
Also, just one more thing, sorry. Is it sort of related to the last one? Because I ended up getting sort of really, really bad at one point. And so she was like, oh, maybe it is time that I do something. So until I was 12, I got sent to bed at 7:30 every night.
Oh, my gosh. 7:30.
Yeah.
Did you have a computer in your room?
No.
No computer?
How about like
books
and things to do?
What did you do?
Or was it like
I do
sleeping?
now, but then no, I didn't. It's pretty much just a bed in the middle of a room.
You just went
So
to
you
sleep.
went to sleep at 7:30.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
your
but
life
you
is,
probably have pretty good sleep patterns.
but
I
your
mean,
life
like-
is going to get increasingly better with every year. The more
I
freedom you get.
actually have like DSPD, so it's kind of, even that doesn't really do anything. So I just kind of lie there,
Aw.
and it's just so annoying. Oh well.
Well, you sound fabulous to us. I know you're going to be remarkable, and we're really proud of you. So thank you so much for calling in. We're going to go
That's
to...
all right.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon, Mia. This question is... Oh, that's Jordan's... What are you signaling? What? Go ahead.
I was gonna say something.
Okay.
Wait, are we moving on?
No,
Because I
you
don't
can
have
you
to.
can comment on that.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, just about Blue Skies question.
Yes.
I was just gonna say that probably the best way to deal with it, and this is advice we've given before, it's just kind of standard, like tell your mom, don't raise your voice, tell your mom how you feel and how it makes you feel when she moans at you. That still makes me giggle.
If you're at the point where you've physically touched her in a in an aggressive, angry
Yeah.
touch. Touches need to be loving. If they're not loving, do not lay a hand on the person. Once you have felt yourself do that, you really know that whether or not this is all your mother's fault, you need to check yourself, because the next thing that's happening is bad. If your
Yeah.
mother trips and hits her head on something, the police are coming over, and this is not going anywhere good.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
may not lay a hand on her, no matter how frustrated or angry you become.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got to just be able to walk away. The phone is ringing,
Yeah.
and as the phone rings, we're going to jump to Beautiful's question. I really like this guy. We both have... Oh, Jordan's here. Good, because I held your question for last. Come take a seat over here. I really like this guy. We both have the same kind of humor, and every day our clothes are always matching. Always. My friends are trying to get him and I to hook up, but shouldn't I be the one doing that? The problem is I'm shy. I'm envious of girls who can actually talk to him. What should I do? So it sounds like she may be around 12, the age where it's other people's idea that you date a person rather than your own yet, but you think about it and you would love that, but it's not going to happen because you're too shy, and so your friends kind of push the two of you together. Isn't that sort of a natural part of growing up, Maddie?
Sort of. I mean, last year I was 14 and that was happening to me.
Still happening at 14, yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty continuous thing. I mean, like my friend was telling me, people were doing that to her at school, like we're 15 turning 16 this year. So like I don't think that that's something that really, cuz I mean, like now there's like internet services that kind of do that, what people would do, in middle school. And I think it's just kind of like I would become friends with him first, cuz oftentimes it seems a lot less daunting to talk to a guy when he's just your friend instead of someone who you're romantically interested in. So maybe kind of like become his friend, kind of join his friend group.
Yeah.
And then, once you're comfortable talking to him, and then you can kind of start, to kind of implement a romantic relationship.
I think they are friends on Snapchat from what I read further into the thread, but she just hasn't gotten up the nerve to talk to him in person, and I think that will just naturally happen. Do we have a caller, Matt? Oh. Oh, Mrs. Culford, did you hear our song?
Yes, it started to make me cry.
Thank you so much for writing the song. It was beautiful.
So,
Thank you.
okay, well, hopefully you'll download it on iTunes and listen to it all the time and just kind of give us 5 stars.
I will.
Yeah, it's not on
I really
iTunes.
will.
But you and I are co-writers. I punched up those lyrics a little bit, so you and I are now co-writers. And it made Maddie cry too.
It did. I read it in the car on the way here. My mom was like, "Why are you crying? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm fine. It's just so sweet."
So, Jordan, I have something really exciting to tell you. Guess who's in the studio?
Who?
Jordan from Ask Jordan.
Oh, that's me.
And her name is Mrs. Jordan Chris Culfer. Say hello.
Hi. Wait, what am I saying?
Hello.
I don't know her real name, but her screen name is Mrs. Jordan Chris Culfer.
Is your name Jordan?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a cool name.
We're Facebook friends.
You and I are Facebook friends?
No, Weezy and I are.
Oh, you and Weezy.
okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
So you get all
don't
our
really know
updates.
you.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you know Jordan from Ask Jordan in the app?
No.
All right. Well, get
Well,
to
go
know
in-
me.
Open up the app and go into advice and scroll down, and you'll see Ask Jordan.
I did during the podcast and kind of looked at it a little bit.
All right. Well, this is Jordan from Ask Jordan, and you guys
Hi.
are both girls named Jordan, and that's exciting.
It's nice to meet you, Jordan. I like your name.
As I just wave, and even though you're not even here.
Thank you so much for calling in, Mrs. Culfer, and thank you for the song. You are a winner, and you now get a sweatshirt or a hoodie. So write to us with your information, and we'll get that hoodie out to you.
I will.
Okay, honey. Bye-bye. All right. So Jordan's here in the studio. Just got here from her busy Hollywood job,
No.
where she works in the busy Hollywood land.
Well, it is
And-
busy. That's true.
And so we've been reading through your questions, and not everybody is over 18 who writes to you, are
I
they?
can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, it's okay. I'm happy to answer anybody's question, but I hope that that's okay with everyone's.
Oh,
parents.
yeah, it's fine. But it was like 18 plus, and then it's like, I'm 10. And I just like, okay, wait, what part of 18? I'm 10, and I'm too young to understand what 18
Well,
plus.
many people would tell me that I have the maturity of a 10-year-old, so I can handle those questions.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's fine.
So we actually included in our rundown today a question for you, if I can find it. We've had a busy day because we were supposed to have a guest in the studio, and I hope he's okay. Maybe he got into an argue. But but where's the question for my pages are messed up. Huh?
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, you read it. I have so many
Okay.
pages in front of me, plus the song.
Have you ever had a friend who gave their life to Christ and started ostracizing and ignoring you?
Oh yeah, I answered this one.
Yes. So
Okay.
could you read Jordan's answer?
Okay.
Yeah, pretend you do it, or should we have Nico do it in Jordan's
Yeah.
voice?
This
It's
was
hard-
a toughie. This one was a toughie.
It's harder to make fun of people when they're like right in front
That's
of
why
you.
I put you on the spot. So yeah, Jordan wrote, "This is tough. They probably feel that you would be wise to follow suit, huh? Well, I'm a firm believer in each person's experiencing religion and faith in their own unique and personal way that feels best for him or her. If they are making you feel inferior because you have your own faith, then it sounds like they're not really secure or true friends."
But I want to make a little remark also. I
Okay.
want to add to that
Okay.
because I sent that in and then I thought about it, and I really don't approve of writing off friends. I think that everyone exists in your life and should stay there in any capacity that they possibly can that makes you comfortable. So even though it's a tough relationship that you're sort of going through right now, I have a feeling that they should stick around because they were your friends at some point for a reason, and I don't like the idea of writing anybody off. So that said, if they're making you feel inferior, of course you don't want them around. But if there is a reason for them to be in your life, like maybe they're a good friend in another way, then you should keep them.
Well, another thing too is that when you first become religious, you're maybe being taught at the church that you should go out and proselytize, like that everybody should be like Jesus and collect fish or be fishers of men, and so she may only be reacting to what she's being taught to do, and she may be excited about the religion and wanting really to share it, and so you teach her that that's not going to be okay with me, and if you really feel like you need to do that with other people, but I have my boundaries in terms of what my religious beliefs are, so between you and I, that's not going to happen. And she'll get used to that because not everybody's going to be as fervent into the religion as she is. Everyone wants to talk. Maddie.
I think it might be best to kind of bring in how, Gator Fan is feeling about this versus like the actual religion aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, because it's the ostracizing and ignoring that's affecting the relationship, not like directly the religious choice. So I think it might be, best to kind of, bring it up with your friend and say, hey, I still really want to be a part of your life. I want you to be a part of my life, but I'm feeling a bit ostracized and ignored. And I always say this, always use I statements when you're going to talk to somebody about something that, they're doing that's affecting how you're feeling. So, Nico, what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to ask myself why she would start ostracizing her friend and acting like more important. Like, maybe she's the kind of person who takes things a little too far. Like, she's kind of a hyped up person about things. She wants to go all in. But then I started thinking maybe this isn't really about religion. Maybe there's something else going on in her life where she's relying on something as simple as religion to really hold on to and have some sort of stable connection. Because that's what a lot of people get into religion for, to have that stable connection to people. So
that's interesting.
It might not just be the religion. It might be,
that she needs this strict anchor that just says you behave this way, because the rest of life is really confusing. So I need this kind of structure, and I want it for you, because if you're here, you're a distraction, and that I maybe don't have to be this strict with the way I behave, and I don't want that kind of distraction. I want everyone all in with me. Montana.
I think this girl should take it from taking it from her friend's point of view. Like, even if she were religious, it's still not okay, especially in most religions, it's not okay to ostracize and ignore your friends. Most religions preach a tolerance of some degree, and she just needs to understand that, like, religion aside, like, we still have good values and we should still be friends, and if she can't deal with that, then she gets out of your life until she figures it out that she's a good friend.
Kyo?
For one, I like the word ostracize a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you like it as much as I like sepia?
Probably.
Okay.
But I think that you can't, kind of what Montana just said, you can't really force someone to be your friend. So if they're ignoring you, be open and be like, hey, I'm open to be your friend. Don't shut the door. But, if they're not doing it, then there's nothing you can do. Find somebody else to be friends with, and hopefully they'll come back. Maybe they won't.
Actually, Keo, I'm not giving you a choice. You have to be my friend. It's not an option.
Maddie constantly abuses me.
She's she can be like that.
Terrifying.
And you know what? You just hold your own.
I'm terrifying, and every single song can have my name in it always.
He takes AM classes, okay? So, and he speaks Japanese,
That's
so
true.
Just respect.
I speak Spanish.
That's really good. I know you've been to Cuba.
Yeah.
I've been to Japan.
Before communism fell. I get it.
Wait, hang on. I'm not that old.
You're very
wait,
worldly.
Wait.
You're very worldly. We know. You've been to South Africa twice in the same month. We understand, Maddie. You're to be odd. What's the word?
Z-snap.
I'm not going to have an argue with you about this. All right. I think that's the end of the show. Thank you, Jordan, for showing up after your busy Hollywood day. We are Our Place Out Loud. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.